11 weeks. 25 cities, crossing a continent, flying the flag. Over iconic landmarks.
This is a day that I'll never ever forget.
And some of the biggest air shows in the world.
Kind of got to pinch myself a little bit.
Representing Britain.
The buzz around here is incredible.
As the Red Arrows travel across North America. The Red Arrows have been in North America for 7 weeks. 12 Hawk jets and 106 personnel are on tour. As they fly into Seattle, past the city's iconic Space Needle, it's the team's first ever visit to the city. At Boeing Field, the crowds have come out to greet them. This stop on their tour is all about business.
We're on the West Coast. We were displaying just recently the furthest west the team's ever displayed. It's been incredible, really, it has. And we're doing quite a few displays, quite a few flypasts, but we're doing about 100 ground engagement events. So that's by far the biggest thing of the tour. There's stuff on the ground, which is so beneficial. This is flying the flag. The guys are ambassadors for the UK, and it's all about that relationship, that special relationship we have, UK-US relationship. And that's not only defence relationship and aerospace, but other industries as well.
The Red Arrows have already performed displays and flypasts over some of the continent's most famous landmarks. Now on the West Coast, their packed schedule continues.
Every single week we've had something that would be on a normal year on the Reds would be the highlight of the year, but this tour just keeps on giving. There's great things. Niagara Falls Flypast was pretty epic to see the guys over there. Red 10 and Circus 10 got some great shots. The Hudson Flypast, so going down the Hudson, you've got New York there, flying with the Thunderbirds, flying with the stealth jets, the F-22s and F-35s behind us. We've had 20-odd displays, so lots of flypasts in there, but over 100 ground engagements, so by far the biggest part of this tour has actually been on the ground.
Seattle has a long history of aviation. It's home to companies like Boeing, which is building the RAF's new P-8 maritime patrol aircraft. It has its own museum of flight, and even Ricebeck High School, a secondary school which teaches its students all about the world of aviation and aerospace.
Well, good afternoon, Ricebeck Aviation High School. Hello.
One of the tour's main aims is to help promote science, technology, engineering and maths, and to show off the opportunities available. There's plenty of questions, and everyone is keen to see the jets up close.
So it's been like a whirlwind, literally since we landed at lunchtime. We did a little bit of a meet and greet here at the museum, which was impromptu. It's just that there were so many people here, so we had to get going. And then we went to Ricebeck Aviation High School. Actually, the interaction is more special than flying. The passion over here for the armed forces and demonstration flying is like nothing I've seen before.
The Red Arrows are only in Seattle for 24 hours. No sooner have the students left than defence, aviation and industry representatives start to arrive. Last year, trade and investment between the UK, Canada and the US totalled more than $260 billion, and this tour hopes to help build on that. For the team, it's another busy night. The next morning, the jets set off for Canada, performing flypasts over Vancouver and Victoria waterfront and visiting more schools and businesses on the ground. Further south in the United States, the rest of the team's engineers and support staff, known as the Blues, are preparing for the jet's arrival at one of the most iconic air bases in North America, at the Californian Strike Fighter Base made famous in the film Top Gun. Marine Corps Air Station, Miramar. This station is home to the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. Its yearly air show attracts 300,000 visitors. For 2019, the Red Arrows are their special guests. There's a buzz of excitement as the jets mark their arrival in style.
This Miramar, I mean, I grew up looking at this place. I mean, there's two things growing up. One's clearly the film and this place, and the second is watching the Red Arrows. So to put the two together and be here, yeah, I kind of got to pinch myself a little bit.
I have never been here. I've been to LA once before and flew over San Clemente, but to come here to Miramar, you know, the home of such an iconic film and probably the one that got most of the guys and girls interested in the military. And here we are for what is going to be an amazing weekend.
The Red Arrows are now some 6,000 miles away from home on the penultimate leg of their tour along the west coast of the United States. And no trip to California would be complete without a stop here in San Diego, the home of Top Gun and the location for one of their biggest military air shows of the tour so far. The Red Arrows can expect a packed crowd over the weekend, but the team have arrived a pilot short. Just before leaving Canada, Red 2 Flight Lieutenant DAMO Green had to fly home for the birth of his daughter. And the show must go on without him. The team will be under pressure to make their display work with a missing jet. As the pilots debrief, the team's engineers jump into action. Each aircraft needs to be moved into position. A landing light needs replacing, and each jet needs to be serviced, ready for their display. As the sun goes down, the Blues have a long evening ahead. Next morning, it's the day of the air show. The stands are up and running, the cameras are out, and the Red Arrows PR tent is in full swing. An important part of each air show is meeting the public, signing posters, even planes.
I've been following him on YouTube and watching some of the videos. He's been excited to see him. They were in Canada recently, and so he's talking about it, so I can't wait to see him.
I'm from Canada, and I've never seen the Red Arrows in my life, so to see them perform, it's going to be really interesting for me.
The reception to the Red Arrows in North America has been overwhelming. So over 11 weeks, the tour is spanning, and everywhere we've been, we've just been met with such positive, warm reactions. And the thing which I think has caught our surprise, I don't know why, but it's the red, white and blue. They absolutely love seeing the red, white and blue smoke come out of the Red Arrows. The audience everywhere have really responded to when they've seen those parts of the show.
But while the pilots meet their fans, over at the flight line, the engineers are carrying out their pre-flight service of the aircraft. There are more than 60 engineers on this tour, and it's their role to keep the team's 12 jets in service, looking after them before and after every display and fly past, and keeping them airworthy for the many transits. Among them are 10 selected to be in what's called the CIRCUS, those that fly back seats on each of the transits.
I'm allocated to a specific aircraft. I'm flying with Flight Lieutenant John Bond for the display season. So I'll look after that aircraft, I'll service it, refuel it, fix any faults if I can, and just responsible for that one particular aircraft while we're on the road. We're coming up to the 8th, 9th week now. Really busy, really high tempo, but we're still really enjoying it.
I fly with Steve Morris, Red 5, or Doggy as he's nicknamed, and I'm a weapons technician on the team, so my role is to look after the ejection seats and also any explosive components fitted to the aircraft.
There's a mix of trades on the team: avionics, mechanical, electrical and weapons engineers. They've brought spare jets with them and a lot of spare parts, which is just as well, as there's been a lot of wheel changes and minor fixes already. Sometimes they've even had to leave an aircraft behind.
On the transit out, we lost an aircraft in Iceland because of a nose undercarriage issue. Likewise, we left a jet behind in Chicago. The jet I was flying in, we had to leave behind for a height issue. But again, we got that sorted within a few days, and so probably at a later stage. So it just really depends. We have to be flexible the whole time to make sure that we can kind of work out what's the sort of most simplest, most effective plan.
The Red Arrows might be known for their precision manoeuvres, but what sets them apart stateside is the red, white and blue smoke that they use.
My team's in charge of putting the smoke in the jets. So the red, the white, the blue, that's us. Very messy job, but we absolutely love doing it. We always do a lot of checks to make sure that we're not going to have blue and red and blue, so we're always talking to each other, and sometimes it feels a little bit noddy, but it makes sure that we're not going to put the red and the blue and red, because that makes purple, which we don't like.
On the flight line, Red 10, Squadron Leader Adam Collins is waiting at the centre of the display. It's his role to check safety conditions and commentate on every show. The Red Arrows always demand high standards of themselves, and the pressure is on. Not only are they representing the RAF and Britain, but this time they're a team member short, and their US Navy counterparts, the Blue Angels, are watching on.
We train as an 8 ship. We train for one jet being missing, be it through unserviceability or illness. With number 2 not being here, with DAMO not being here, most of the time we'll just have a missing man, so we'll have a gap in the formation. But what we'll do is reposition some of the other jets to move that gap around to make the shapes as symmetrical as we can do and make them as similar to the full show as we can. There's definitely a little bit of extra pressure, not just because of the significance of being at Miramar, but we have the Blue Angels here as well, so we're on immediately before them. So there's always some, not quite rivalry, but mutual professional respect amongst the teams.
As the pilots crew in, the engineers perform their formal see-off, a synchronised series of checks to complement the formation in the skies.
Display takeoff coming right with a prime. Here we go. Forward. Red prime.
As they take off, it doesn't take long for the crowds to see why the Red Arrows are so popular back home across the pond. The red, white and blue smoke marking their arrival and the start of the show. A missing jet and low cloud meant for a tricky start. But by their second display of the weekend, they finished their time in San Diego with blue skies all the way.
To go and do a display like we've just done was great. We haven't debriefed yet, but the feeling from everyone, you could tell in people's voices, they were, everyone was up for that, and it felt like a great display.
Flying in Miramar, fulfilling a childhood dream. It's a moment on the tour they'll never forget. With their displays in San Diego complete, the Red Arrows now just have one show left on their tour. In just over 48 hours, they need to be in Los Angeles for the Great Pacific Air Show. But first, the jets are setting off to squeeze in some more flypasts. While the pilots and circus engineers set off, the rest of the Blues are left behind to pack up and head off to LA to wait for them. The team are using an A400M Atlas from RAF Bryce Norton to make sure personnel and supplies can get around.
My crew came out here and we started in Vancouver, came down to Miramar to run static at the air show here. It's subtly different flying in Canada and the US. There's a little different way they operate. In general, it's under air traffic as we used to anywhere out in the world, but there's nuances in language and some of their procedures. For the new guys, well worth doing the training to come out here.
Well, the Red Arrows Hawk jet set off earlier this morning to San Francisco for flypast. The Atlas behind me is now about to set off for Los Angeles to meet the team for the next stop on a very busy tour. In the UK, supplies can travel by road, but overseas the team must be self-sufficient and carry everything they'll need. Passengers, dye barrels, spare parts and luggage are all loaded in. Sometimes it takes more than one trip.
There's 2 of us on this aircraft for this job because of the amount of passengers that we've got. We're moving approximately 50 passengers at a time and about 22 tonnes of freight. So we have to do that in 2 hops to get to our location, just purely with the size of volume of the freight that we're carrying.
Just as the Red Arrows carry out repairs on the road, the A400M also must be maintained, whether that's fixing tyres on location or having to face even bigger concerns.
Yesterday we were out in front of the crowd changing some wheels, carrying out our maintenance. The hardest thing we've had to do is we've had 2 incidences of birds hitting the aircraft on approach, which causes some work for us. But it was down in Portland, I think they were, and there was just final approach into the airport. They hit 11 birds. 1 went down the engine and 1 hit the prop, which required inspections after that.
While the engineers need to be ready wherever the jets go, the team's photographers also need to keep up. It's their task to film every flypast and every display.
There's always something that needs photographing or videoing, something needs going on social media, a post needs going out. The imagery has been used back home in most newspapers quite a lot. Obviously, over the social media channels that the Red Arrows have got, we've been getting millions of hits. As an RA photographer, I've had many varied roles throughout my 15 years. I personally think that being the Red Arrows photographer is probably the best one that the trade have got, and you're just a huge ambassador for the trades, an ambassador for the RAF, and yeah, you can't get anything better really.
With one photographer in the back of Red 10's jet, footage can be captured and shared around the world. During the flight to Los Angeles, the photographers have a special tasking. Over the Mojave Desert, the jets are joined by Virgin Orbit's Cosmic Girl, an aircraft which hopes to send satellites into space. 200 miles away at Long Beach in LA, the PR team are waiting for the footage at a special reception on board the Queen Mary liner. The Red Arrows' arrival and their fly past time to coincide with an announcement that an RAF pilot is set to join the company's small satellite launch program. It's news that's celebrated as the Red Arrows arrive in Tinseltown, trailing their red, white and blue smoke across Hollywood and Huntington Beach. Before the pilots arrive at the reception, after 2 months on tour, this is their final stop.
Today was just brilliant. To start off doing a fly past with the 747 and having a look around, where it's just been incredible. And then to go and fly past the Hollywood sign, and then to come over here with Queen Mary, and then to go and obviously do another fly past down at Huntington Beach. It's a day that I'll never ever forget.
The Great Pacific Air Show at Huntington Beach attracts 3 million visitors every year. It's one of the largest shows on the Red Arrows tour, and the last time the team will display together this season. The Red Arrows are operating out of Joint Forces Training Base Los Alamitos, alongside the United States Thunderbirds and Canadian Snowbirds display teams. But as special guests, the Red Arrows have been asked to close the show.
Now we're here at the end of the tour, and we've achieved absolutely everything we set out to achieve, plus more. It's now just almost relief, and now time to just enjoy the show. This is our last couple of shows of the season, not just of the tour. Blue skies, light winds, gorgeous water, and a beach that's going to be packed. It just couldn't be set for a more perfect finish.
By the evening, word has spread that the Red Arrows are in town. And there's good news.
A couple of days ago when we were in Vancouver, my wife gave me a call, said pretty much the baby is coming. Got back to the UK, made it with 30 minutes to spare for the baby. So I've got a little baby girl called Etta, I'm now a dad. So I've got 6 or 7 days in the UK, had a night at home, and it's like, I'll come out, I want to come out, I want to finish this. With the Red Arrows, we don't fly as an 8 ship, we fly as a 9.
On the day of the air show, there's plenty of excitement, but the mood is also bittersweet. 3 team members will be leaving after the tour, and this will be their last time displaying in the Red Arrows.
There is that tinge of sadness that I'm trying to suppress because this is my last display weekend. I've had 3 incredible seasons, and that's what I'm looking back on, how great it's been. The first year I joined, 6 weeks in the Middle East, amazing. Second season, the 100th anniversary of the Royal Air Force, 100 aircraft fly past over Buckingham Palace. And then my third year, an 11-week tour North America, which finishes here at Huntington Beach, California. If I could have written it and asked for it people would have laughed at me and told me to go away. So I'm just so grateful that it's happened.
As the engineers get to work, on the beach, the crowds are building. The team have a big audience to impress, and everyone wants their last display to be a success. Ready to commentate, Red 10 Squadron Leader Adam Collins is in position. A quick word on the radio from Red 1, and he gets the signal to start the show.
Red, colour on, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red
Go!
With clear blue skies, the team are able to perform their full high-level display routine and their most dramatic manoeuvres.
Here goes the corn fighter roll.
Amazing display. As someone who loves aviation, it's absolutely amazing to watch how close they are and how really they're so precise in their movements.
It was pretty cool and kind of also breathtaking and sort of nerve-wracking all at the same time.
The buzz around here is incredible. Just the whole air show buzz for these 3 or 4 days. There's banners everywhere, posters everywhere. Everyone's really pleased to see us. It's a real honour for us to be closing the show.
The Red Arrows ending their tour better than they could ever have imagined. Their North American adventure has given them much to celebrate. They've crossed a continent, flying the flag for Britain all the way. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.